I've been taking a look at some very old professional Go game records lately, particularly those of Honninbo Dosaku, which were in the late 17th century. And one thing I noticed about the games is that the moves are so strange that it makes me question what I know about Go. Because these are obviously not weak players. Just because we're in a modern era and we play differently, it doesn't mean that I would be able to, stand a chance against any of these ancient masters. But a lot of their moves look very questionable to me, and they make me feel, like they're almost like if I saw this game and I would have just thought, oh, this is clearly between a couple amateur players who don't fully understand the game. But looking at them, I'm realizing actually how moves can look very strange, and yet they can either be validly strange, like they have a purpose and meaning to them, or they can be strange and there's no real purpose to it at all. So it's making me really rethink the game and what, quote unquote, I always advocate for, normal moves, right? And saying that that's a good way to get stronger, because I think it is a good way to get stronger, because once you understand this normal type of move, you have a foundation to build more knowledge on top of that. If you just kind of play randomly the whole time, then it's hard to build off of anything. So, but then, my whole concept of normal is thrown out the window when I go this far back in time. So it's just been very thought-provoking. Welcome to Starpoint, the show about Go for Go fans away from the board. And welcome to the season finale of Starpoint. It's not going to be super special or anything. It's just going to be the last episode I do for 4 weeks, and then I'll be right back with another episode. So don't worry. Use that time to catch up on any missed episodes, binge, listen, and take some time to not listen to Starpoint, I guess. But don't worry. I'll be back, and just using some time to take a little bit of a break, reset, rethink the podcast if there's any changes I need to make, or if not, I'll be back exactly the same. Just a little breathing room is a little nice. I think it's, also it goes the same for Go in general. When you're constantly churning out games, it is good to take a step back every now and then and just reflect and let your brain process what you've learned. It's kind of like, I heard you learn better if you go to sleep after you learn something new, so your brain can kind of process the information. I wonder if there's something similar where when you've been studying something for so long and you step back from it and you come back, you gain a bunch of strength. Because I've heard that anecdotally, people saying like, oh, just stepping away from the game helped me improve. I don't think I'll be stepping away from Go for now. I'll probably actually play a little more Go because I won't be working on the podcast as much. But I will be taking a step back from the podcast for 4 weeks. So in 4 weeks' time, I may put some updates on YouTube or something, maybe just to keep in touch with you guys. But for this episode, I wanted to go over a very interesting forum post on OGS. And I wanted to give some attention to it because I really like what this poster is saying. So I thought it would be fun to read through and see what proposed changes that they are suggesting for OGS, particularly auto-match time settings. Some of you may have come across this post, but I would love to go over this with you guys. So I want to just read the post and break it down and just comment on it. It's a post called Revisiting Auto-Match Time Settings, Data-Backed Proposal for New Auto-Matched Settings on OGS, and it's by a user named African Rhino 17. Hello, OGS community. I know what you're thinking. Oh no, not this again. We've been down this road before, but hear me out. I analyzed 340,000 recent OGS games, and the results are interesting to say the least. It's crucial that we revisit the conversation about auto-match time settings on OGS. Let me lay out the case and share some compelling data to support what many of us have been feeling for a long time. Before you roll your eyes and reach for that reply button, I encourage you to read through this post entirely. Now, I I don't actually frequent the forums very often, so I didn't know that this was a common topic of discussion. I guess I can only assume that people often suggest different time settings, that they feel certain frustrations with the website and they want changes. But African Rhino here, I think, has done a lot of research and has laid out a big foundation for their argument. So let's take a look. What the data shows. In this sample pool, the most common custom game requests are 19 by 19 custom request, which is 10 minutes plus 30-second periods of, I assume, Byoyomi, of 11,108 games, or 198 hours a day. The second most common custom game request is 19 by 19, 5 minutes plus 30 seconds, 5,832 games. So if you don't know, on OGS, you can click an auto match button and in your preferred time control, but there is an option to open it up as a custom challenge, so you can set exactly what kind of time setting that you want. And African Rhino here is what they're saying is that the most common custom requests for custom games and custom time settings is 10 minutes plus 30 and 5 minutes plus 30 on a 19 by 19. Compare these to current Blitz auto match options. 19 by 19 Blitz auto match, which is 3,213 games. 19 by 19 Blitz Fisher auto match, which is 6,969 games. Interesting that the Fisher Blitz is the preferred one. And then for 13 by 13 Blitz auto match, which is 346. 13 by 13 Blitz Fisher auto match, which is 761. 9 by 9 Blitz auto match, 2,363 games. And 9 by 9 Blitz Fisher auto match, which is 2,276 games. So it seems that if you're just comparing the faster time settings, people prefer the 10-minute and 5-minute settings rather than the current Blitz settings. I don't remember. I know that Blitz in OGS is considered like a 10-second per move game. I don't know exactly what the time is. I don't ever play Blitz. I never use that button. I don't know. It's just not. It's a little too fast for me. And for comparison, here's how much live 13 by 13 is played. 13 by 13 normal auto match is 11,265 games. 13 by 13 normal Fisher auto match is 1,844 games. So there's no actual Fisher button on the interface on OGS, so I assume it's when you go into the settings and you set Fisher as your preference. Of course, I think that's going to generally reduce the number of games that you get matched with that time setting, but it looks like for 19 by 19, Fisher auto match is the popular one, but for 13 by 13, it's more popular to do the normal auto match, which is interesting insight there. And just to reiterate and clarify once more, on OGS, I'm sure a lot of you use OGS, so you don't need any of this explanation, but in case you're not as familiar, on OGS there are, right now if you go on the website, you will see in the play section of the website this auto match finder section, which is the biggest kind of button area to find a game. And then we have 9 by 9, 13 by 13, and 19 by 19 board sizes at the top as toggles, and you can check whichever ones you want. And then there are 4 main buttons: Blitz, which says 10 seconds per move; Normal, which says 30 seconds per move; Computer; and Correspondence, which says 1 day per move. I don't know the full specifics of the Blitz and Correspondence time controls, but I know from experience that Normal is 20 minutes of main time, and I believe it's 5 periods of 30-second Byoyomis. And then underneath all of that, there's a Create button, where you can set up your own rules, and people can accept your challenge based on the settings. That's all below where you see all the current games. So let's continue with the post. Main insights from the data. Custom requests for 10-minute games are 6 times more popular than the default Blitz option. Custom requests for 10-minute games are 1.5 times more popular than 13 by 13 board live games. So a lot of people seem to want 10-minute games, which makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's a great time control amount for a casual player. The data shows that players favor medium time settings through custom requests far more than any blitz auto match option. Okay, I want to look at the normal options though. The current situation. Right now, we've got two extremes in our auto match options. 1. Normal. This can easily turn into an hour-long game, great for serious players, not so great for casual ones and beginners. 2. Blitz. This feels like playing Go while your pants are on fire, stressing out the majority of general players. The displeasure with these settings shows in the data. A substantial number of players use custom requests to play games with 5 to 10 minute settings instead. I completely agree here. Number 2, Blitz. Yeah, I think it's just too fast. It's a very special kind of Go, and there is a place for it, but most people are not looking to play this kind of game of Go. And then normal, it is a normal game of Go, but I honestly can relate to this so much where I've just refused to play on OGS because I don't want to create a custom game and then wait for someone to accept my specific time setting. And I also, I just want to go, grab a game on Fox where it's already like a 5-minute time setting game. But let's see if there's any stats here I'm missing the stats for how many games are created with the normal time setting. I don't know if I've missed it, but I would love to see the normal time setting numbers, because for some reason the poster only has listed the normal settings for 13 by 13 and then the blitz settings for 19 by 19. So where are the numbers for normal? Okay, in any case, continuing this post, the default settings are not friendly for beginners. Imagine a beginner wanting to try out a 19 by 19 game, not understanding what's going on nor what to play. The beginner is going to use all their main time. So on top of all the confusion, the game is going to drag for over an hour. Not exactly screaming, play again soon, is it? Now picture them thinking, well, that was really long. Let's maybe try Blitz instead. After waiting 8 minutes for a game, because let's face it, not many people play this setting, they get a game with 10 seconds Byoyomi. And it's so fast they can barely blink their eyes with a constant countdown pressure. 10, 9, 8, 7. Not very appealing either. Oh man, that countdown can be very stressful, especially for a beginner. This is why I actually opt for, I would want an OGS setting on time control sounds to be more digital. It seems like there was some intent to put in a digital time setting sound effect in there, but I tried it out. It didn't really work. What I mean by a digital sound effect is more like what you would see in a timer, like a clock, where it would just beep once starting from 10. It would be like beep, beep. And then starting from 5, maybe it changes the signal a little, to a rapid beat, like beep, 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 right? So that's enough for me. I don't actually need an actual person next to me counting like they did in the ancient times. I think a beeping timer is just fine. I don't need to know exactly every single number, which number I'm at. I think I can get a good sense of that. Okay, the only thing missing from this post right now, I really wish there was a stat for the normal mode. How many games were found for that? Not sure why that's excluded here. But if the number, let's say, I don't know. I guess they're saying the normal one is by far the more popular. Maybe that's why they didn't include it, because they're just comparing the custom requests for 19 by 19 versus the Blitz and saying, oh yeah, these custom requests are way more popular than Blitz. Why not have a custom request setting that is popular as a default, but it's not maybe as popular as the normal setting, which is the 20-minute one. So let's not touch that. But I argue that if you introduce a medium setting here with a 10-minute time, I think that possibly that 20-minute time setting will go down because people will prefer the shorter one. I would certainly prefer the shorter one. When I play OGS, I actually go into the mindset of OGS being a long-form play server. I'm either playing correspondence or these 20-minute long games, which to me is a long game. I know the pros go on for hours and hours and hours, but as a person who has a full-time job and I have other responsibilities to attend to, 20 minutes per person plus 5 periods of Byoyomi, it can feel like a very long game. So OGS in introducing a 5-minute or 10-minute option, that would already get me to play on OGS more. Just some food for thought. All right, a proposal for better balanced time settings. Add a new auto match setting, rapid. Introduce a 5 minutes plus 30 seconds or 10 minutes plus 30 seconds auto match option. This term is familiar to chess players and fits the existing demand perfectly. 2. Adjust Blitz Byoyomi settings. Current Blitz settings on 19x19, which is 5 minutes plus 10 seconds. There you go, there's the time setting. 5 minutes of main time plus periods of 10-second Byoyomi. And similar settings on 9x9 and 13x13 are not catering well to either Blitz enthusiasts or general players. Blitz enthusiasts might find a faster setting such as 1 minute plus 10 seconds more appealing. A slightly lower setting like 1 minute plus 20 to 30 seconds could be more attractive to a general audience. This is similar to the most popular time settings on the Fox Go server. I am very, very much a proponent of the rapid time setting. Whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes actually doesn't matter to me, but based on the data, it seems like we should go for the 10-minute setting since there are more 10-minute custom games being played. The Blitz Byoyomi settings, I guess I don't really have a dog in that race because I don't play Blitz and I don't think any of those Blitz settings would be appealing to me. I do have a friend who enjoys Blitz and I think they would like the 1 minute plus 10-second time control. That's the time control that he said that he likes playing. So I think that, whatever Blitz changes you guys want to make, I think I'm not really going to say much. Although I've always been interested in what Bullet Go would look like, where, they go crazy, where it's just like 1 minute time, no Byoyomi, or something like that. Because I think that's what they do in chess sometimes, where they just have a 1 minute like absolute time control, and you just have to checkmate before the time is up. Something like that for Go would be interesting to see. Probably broken. That's why probably it's not a thing, but I've always been curious to see that. The other thing I want to mention here is when do we, at what point do we switch over to a Fisher time control here? Because things are trending towards that direction with multiple Go organizations changing their standard time control setting to Fisher. And myself, I've seen people in the community enjoy Fisher. So I'm not sure what the right time for that is. It also is maybe easier to understand for beginners. Fisher time setting, just every move you get this many seconds back. That's really all you have to say, right? You have this much time, and then every move you make, you get this many seconds back and add it to your time. It's a very simple explanation. Byoyomi is like, it's not that complicated, but for you to say like, okay, you have 5, consider them like lives is the way I explain it, like 5 lives. If you use more than 30 seconds any time, you lose a life. If you use less, then you just refresh back. So it's a little more convoluted. It's a little harder to explain. Not that it's the most difficult thing to understand, but that could be another argument for Fisher. And if they're going to be revamping this and taking a look at the data here, I would say maybe consider also changing things to Fisher now. But that I know that's a big change, and it may not be the most popular with a lot of people who prefer Byoyomi. So that's a tougher one. I think it's a more of a controversial change. So I would understand if that didn't happen for a while. But the rapid suggestion I think is fantastic. Let's continue with the reading. These changes align with modern gaming paradigms and appeal to a broader audience, especially beginners who might find hour-long games daunting. It also reflects popular time controls seen in other board games like chess, where medium-paced games dominate the player base. Let's look at chess, for example. On the Lichess server, 20% play rapid, which is 10 minutes plus 0. 17 play blitz, which is 5 minutes plus 0. 13% play blitz 3 minutes plus 0. 8% play bullet 1 minute plus 0. 3% play rapid 15%. Sorry, I'm getting all confused. 3% play rapid 15 minutes plus 10 seconds. 3% play classical with 30 minutes plus 0. So people don't like classical chess, even though that's like the standard form of chess. Because people are playing online. They just want to have fun. They want to have a quick game of chess, a 10-minute game of chess. See the trend? Medium time settings are the most used ones. Longer time settings, such as classical, and fastest time settings, such as bullet, are not very popular. Adding a new auto match option would provide a more attractive option for new, casual, and younger players, which would encourage people who are put off by 20-minute games to play more. 1,000% on board with all this. I don't know what else to say. I love the shorter, faster pace. I would even say, I would think maybe actually the 10-minute time control would give me this middle ground that Fox doesn't offer, because Fox is either 5 minutes or the next one up is like 20 minutes, I think. Unless I'm forgetting, they did an update where they did add another setting in between. But anyway, I would play more on OGS. Addressing counter-arguments. Counter-argument number 1. Adding another auto match button will split an already small user base. Response. The player base is already divided. An enormous part of players are already creating custom requests for medium-length games. Adding a new auto match option for these popular settings would not split the base, but rather consolidate it by meeting existing demand. It's a quality of life improvement for the many players who use custom game requests to find a 10-minute game. This change would encourage more beginners and new players to play faster game settings. While activity in auto match may drop at first until players adapt, this is a very healthy change in the long run. Yep, I completely agree with this. And so I think what would happen is the people who normally play 20-minute games, 20-minute games might actually take a bit of a hit, I think. Because there are people who are playing 20-minute games, I think, that are not, they would prefer a shorter game, but they like the idea of doing an auto match, which is me. I don't want to create a custom game and then set it up myself and then wait for someone to accept my challenge. I actually just really want to just auto match. And so as a 20-minute player who normally, I don't normally play on OGS. So as a 20-minute player, I would definitely move on over to the 10-minute camp. And then all the people who are creating custom games would also join that camp. And then new players who just didn't play on OGS that, because they didn't have that time setting auto match, they would also join. So I think there would be a good bell curve there. That's what I would guess, is that there would be a bell curve around the 10-minute time setting. So I don't think this would fragment the player base at all. If anything, it would just kind of maybe leech a little bit from the 20-minute camp. Second counter argument: if you want a faster game, play Blitz. Response: there is a significant difference between medium-length games and Blitz. Blitz is too fast and stressful for many players, while 20-minute normal games are too long. An intermediate setting like 10 minutes or 5 minutes would provide a more balanced option. I don't think there's much more to be said about that. Next counter-argument: just create a custom game with any time setting you want. Response: currently, a single custom request is 6 times more popular than the default Blitz auto match option. That's not how it should be. In the modern user and beginner-friendly server, the majority of people should use the auto match button. The custom request method is far from ideal for new or casual players. It's convoluted and discouraging for beginners who would benefit from a one-click auto match experience. Having to create a custom game just to play the second most common time option is not very user-friendly. Yes, completely agree. My professional work is in UX, and this is a problem. The fact that there are custom games being created that are greater in number than the default options. That we're not catering to a demand here. And so the only reason people would do that is because they're not satisfied with the default options. What are default options supposed to be? They're supposed to be the most common denominator options for everybody, so that we can capture most people's preferences and then funnel them into that there. And then if you have some kind of peculiar need, then you can create a custom game request. So this is a very obvious problem to solve. The only thing that you would maybe think about is the differences in the minutia of the rules. People liking Chinese rules or Chinese counting, or they don't like handicap games. They prefer handicap games. These little things could make the issue a little more complicated. But overall, I think we can use the broad strokes of the numbers here and just kind of say that we do need a new time control. Another counter argument. OGS is traditionally for more serious players and slower games. Response. While OGS has a history of hosting slower and correspondence games, it has evolved into a central hub for all Western Go players. That's the place where every Western Go player starts. Catering only to slow game enthusiasts alienates a substantial segment of the player base. A faster option would attract and retain more players, especially beginners. Cool thing I learned recently from the All Things Go podcast. They did an interview with Koba, a longtime moderator and contributor of OGS, is that OGS, I think I knew this before too, but OGS started as a correspondence server, which is pretty cool. But it is very much a correspondence server still. I know a lot of people's accounts strictly play correspondence games, and I see that through all the accounts that are being made. And I wonder if partly because of its history, but partly maybe because of the options for the time game settings, and the live game settings, and the popularity of the live game settings in general, where you do have to wait a bit to find a game, especially if you're at certain strengths. So anything we can do to make the live games more popular is, I think, a good step. So the last counter argument that African Rhino addresses: normal mode is the most popular. There is no need to change anything. Default settings inevitably dominate usage statistics. They are literally promoted on the main play page. However, the significant custom request numbers for 5 and 10-minute games showcase a clear demand for a faster, more accessible option. And even without main play page promotion, there are already 6 times as popular as the default Blitz option. Okay, I want to know the numbers for the normal mode. I'm very curious, but I'm going to argue that once you put the 10-minute option in there, or 5-minute option, whatever, it's actually going to overtake the normal mode. If you go on Fox, that's the case. There's no, the most popular mode on Fox is the faster mode. I think it's the 5-minute or the 10-minute mode. And I feel like Blitz is just kind of crazy. Like a lot of players just won't ever consider Blitz. And then, so if you're going to play a live game, maybe the only option for you is to play the normal mode. There may be a lot of people who don't want to play because the normal time settings don't offer 10-minute, 5-minute controls. And you can see that there are people who at least have the motivation to create custom games. And then there are people like me who don't have the motivation to create custom games, and we just don't play on OGS. So it'll actually, I think, increase the number of people playing on OGS. And I would assume over time, this medium rapid mode would actually become the most popular mode on OGS. That's what I think. I mean, I would love to hear anybody's thoughts on this. But we do also have some thoughts here already being expressed on the forum post. But let's finish up with the post itself. Conclusion. Implementing these changes will provide a more balanced time control option, which data shows is highly desired. Improve user experience for existing players, likely attract and retain more beginners. Encourage more frequent play, crucial for the growth of the server and Go in general. For those about to argue against the changes, consider this. Why can't we have a button for 5/10 minute time settings that are already half as popular as live auto match? But we do have a button that is 6 times less popular. Let's bring OGS in line with modern gaming trends and make it more welcoming for new casual and younger players. Thank you for reading. And then there's like a poll. Do you support adding a new rapid auto match setting, 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And the overwhelming consensus is yes. With 88 voters, 97% of them saying they would support this. So, I mean, you have the data, you have the voters, the vote of the people. What more do you need? I would be very surprised if OGS did not go through with this. And then, do you agree with adjusting Blitz Byoyomi settings? I don't feel as strongly about this one. This one also of overwhelming support, 97% among 74 voters. So African Rhino here, I think, was bracing themselves for some backlash, some kind of complaints about these proposals, but by addressing all these concerns and complaints and saying like, please give me a chance, please. But it looks like we're all on board. We got some comments here underneath, people saying that they'd play on OGS more if it was 5 minutes. And then someone also suggests, why not Fisher? Just like I'm kind of looking for as well. I would also like it if, faster change for me is something I would prefer to just go straight to Fisher. I just see it as an inevitability, which is why I would prefer that. I understand a lot of people prefer Byoyomi, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see if that much can be done. Another comment, there's a reason why I usually play on Fox. Creating custom games just to get a decent time setting would be it. Right? Everybody's saying exactly, what they agree here, that they agree with African Rhino. So I'm really excited to see the response to this post. I also wanted to give a little spotlight to the forum post. I will link it in the description so you guys can check it out and either just, like it or add your own 2 cents to the discussion. Because OGS is an open source Go server, and it takes a community of people to kind of suggest changes like this for the improvement of the server. And obviously the people who actually, run the server, like Anoek and the developers, anyone who does who makes contributions to OGS, do a ton of work to update the server and do things like this. But this is one of the most unanimous changes I've seen suggested about OGS, and I really wanted to give the attention to it and let you guys know about it and see if you can also support it. Or if you don't support it, we need to hear those reasons too. If you have any strong arguments why some of these changes may be not the best, although I do see it as a landslide win for African Rhino and all the people who are supporting this change. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned for something a little bit different, a little bit special after the break. I meant to tease this at the beginning of the episode so people would listen farther and wait for this part of the episode, but I forgot. And so it's reserved for all of you lovely folks who listened this far without any such extrinsic motivation. But I have something quite special for you today. I just wanted to do something a little bit special for the season finale. It's a scene from the Go version of the Queens Gambit. So if you don't know, the Queen's Gambit is about a young orphan who discovers the game of chess and how it changes her life. And there's a very nice scene that I like from the Queen's Gambit but where the girl learns how to play chess from the custodian of the orphanage that she's at. And it's a very moving and impactful scene where they do this kind of dramatic, standoffish almost kind of Well, I mean, I'm talking too much about the Queen's Gambit. What you're here for is the Honimbo's Ko, which is one of the names I was considering calling this, but it's just essentially the Go version of the Queen's Gambit. And without further ado, let me just let you listen to this special scene.
What are you doing with those?
I'm just playing a game I made up.
That's not what that's for. This is a Go board.
A Go board?
Yes, for playing Go.
How do you play?
It's not easy. If you're going to learn a game, you should learn something practical, like chess.
I don't like chess. It's too hard.
If you think chess is too hard, you're probably not cut out for Go.
I want to try. I already know how to play Othello.
This is not Othello.
Can't you just teach me? It's not like you're doing anything else today.
I suppose not. All right, well then have a seat. You take the black stones.
I want to be white.
In Go, the weaker player plays black.
How do you know I'm weaker? We haven't even played.
If you beat me even once, you can play as white as much as you want. And when you play a stone, it doesn't move. It stays on that point for the rest of the game, unless it's captured. Like this. You can also capture groups of stones. Every stone or group has what are called liberties. If you take up all the liberties, that group becomes captured.
I get it. Can we play now?
Well, I suppose. Well, go on then. Play a stone.
Anywhere?
Any intersection. Thank you for the game.
I want to play again.
That's enough for today.
But I was just getting the hang of it.
I haven't even told you all the rules yet.
But we just played a whole game.
That wasn't Go. That was Capture Go.
Well, that's dumb.
I'll teach you the rest later. Let's go.
I hope you all enjoyed that little treat. I'll go ahead and upload that by itself on the Starpoint YouTube channel in case anyone wants to share just this part. I had fun making it. I was thinking, like, should I leave it a mystery as to how this thing was made? But I'll just go ahead and tell you there is a fantastic AI software that allows me to speak into a microphone and replace my voice with a completely different voice, and the results are crazy good. I mean, I would not have imagined I would have been able to make something like this ever in my life, because I can't change my voice to sound like an older man or a young girl. And so I can't, I'm not like doing voice acting for cartoons or anything like that. But with this new technology, we're able to kind of run these one-man shows. Obviously, they're not as good as if you were to actually hire real live voice actors. You can, if you listen over it again, you can kind of see maybe there are areas, where it's a little awkward. I'm not a professional actor, so I can't, make the best performance out of it either, but it's the best that I could do. I hope I at least entertain you all, and I would love to see something like this full blown. I kind of just modeled it after the Queens Gambit scene where they're in the basement, but that's just so that I don't have to think too hard about the writing aspect of it. I just thought I'd just kind of hijack that script a little bit and kind of fudge it around a bit so that it's a go scene instead of a chess scene. But there are far more creative people out there than me, and I would love to see stuff like this being made. If you are a creator and you find inspiration in this audio clip, I give you full permission to go ahead and remix and do whatever, add any visuals that you want and re-upload. It would just be appreciated if you could throw credit in there for me. But I hope you enjoyed it. It's just kind of like came from the deep part of me that's dreaming for more Go content, more Go like shows and movies and things like that. So, I mean, this is the best I could do with what I have. I don't know how to use cameras and actually shoot a full-blown scene, nor do I have the resources to hire actors. But anyway, moving on. It's time for the GDK Advice Corner, and the tip of the day is respect the Panuki. There was a previous DDK Advice Corner tip that I gave out that was kind of similar to this, but I need to keep reiterating this. Respect the Panuki. I see a lot of weaker players refusing to take Panukis, or they allow the opponent to get a Panuki, and like Panukis are huge. Like, yes, there are some times when you don't want to capture a single stone, but too many players I see don't respect the Tanuki. The Panuki. Respecting the Tanuki may be another tip for another day, but don't take it so lightly. I know you're trying to sacrifice stones, you're trying not to think about small things, but a Panuki where you capture a single stone and you get this really thick shape that's basically unkillable, it's very valuable, so don't take that lightly. Don't go around ignoring them regularly in your games, and don't go around giving them up to other people regularly. Go look at some pro games. Review a few pro games and see how often a Panuki occurs. See how often the pro lets the Panuki happen, and then ask why. If you do find a case, ask maybe why did they allow the Panuki here in this case. Just a little thought experiment for you to try if you don't understand why you should respect the Panuki. Now it's time for some Go news. The US Go Congress will feature some education workshops. That's pretty exciting. A series of 10 Go teacher workshops have been scheduled for the upcoming US Go Congress, aimed at promoting the game of Go and training new instructors. So this will be basically a class for teachers to get better at teaching Go. And then they can also get a teaching certificate if they complete the workshops. And Kim Young-an 9P, Korean professional who is an ambassador of sorts for the game of Go from Korea in the United States, will be there among the instructors of instructors. It seems like there are like 2 tiers of the workshops, like a basic and advanced. The advanced one will give you the AGA teacher certificate. I think that's pretty cool that there is some kind of certification for teaching. I wonder what they're going to teach. I wonder how they're going to teach how to teach. I'm very curious. I would love to see if there's any kind of streaming event for that. But I'm just happy that they're doing this. It's a good idea, I think, and I would love to hear from anyone who attends. The 10th In Cup is set up, and Shin Jin-seo is knocked out of the In Cup round 1 by Wang Xinghao. And all the Korean players, actually, including Shin Min-jun and Park Jung-hwan. And then the finals will be between, or sorry, not the finals, the semifinals will be between Keje and Ichiriki Ryo. So that's China versus Japan. And then Xie Ke versus Xu Huahong from Taiwan. So Xie Ke from China and Xu Haohong from Taiwan. So no Korean players in this In Cup, which is kind of a surprise, honestly. And we'll see who the finalists are. But for now, this is what I have for the semifinalists, and it's time for listener mail. Renee writes, "Hi Justin, that was a great episode and I'd like to share a story. I had a big aha moment last Christmas after trying to get my father into the game, while my girlfriend, a psychologist, listened to my efforts. Unfortunately, I fell for the trap to start with, Go is easy and has simple rules. Let me show you. And then I tried to explain these simple rules, but in the end, my dad won't stick with the game and has no intentions to continue with it as he grew frustrated a bit. You know what? I wouldn't take it too bad. I'm sure there are people out there, no matter how well you teach the game, they will just not stick with the game. So you'll never know if it's really your fault or not. But I mean, I would say it's probably not your fault. Some days later, my girlfriend and I talked about it, and she said, "You lied to him." That baffled me. She explained and kind of gave me a lecture in psychology regarding the concept of self-worth. When we start to explain Go is as easy and simple, subconsciously, we always will remember this. But as people progress in the game of Go, they will face obstacles that are not easy and simple to overcome. May it be certain concepts or just a more advanced sumego. People then will eventually start to question themselves. That guy said it is easy and simple, yet I just can't get it, so it must be me. That could threaten one's self-worth and drive them away from the game. And even if they manage to overcome those obstacles, they cannot be super proud of themselves because it's an easy and simple game. One would expect them to reach the next level, nothing to congratulate yourself for. That is a very good point, and that's a very clear way of illustrating why it may not be a good idea to present Go as an easy game. I know that a lot of people are actually attracted to Go when we describe it as a difficult game. A lot of people come to the game after learning it's more difficult than chess. So maybe that's a better approach. I think your girlfriend has some really good points there. So it might be best and honest to state the fact that Go is a very hard and complex game, but to reach certain goals and achievements is for that reason. Being so hard, very gratifying. And you can always blame the game for being too hard and complex, especially for beginners. If you can't solve a tsumego or reach another level, it does not threaten your self-worth. It's just a very hard game. And if you do solve the puzzle and understand a hard concept, you really can pat yourself on the shoulder and push your self-confidence and self-worth. And I saw these mechanisms work in my father's mind, and I lost the Go community a potential player. So next time, I will be more honest and start to explain to interested people the game that is by far the most complex and hard to grasp game I have experienced, but very, very satisfying when progressing. I hope this will get people into the game long enough to discover the beauty of the game and the beauty of challenges, because I think deep down we all want some challenges. Man, this is a bit of a catch-22 though, I think. The reason why people say this is a very easy and simple game is to entice people. People don't want to deal with complex, difficult things. And then so when we lure these people in and we show them the game and it's actually very, very difficult, then yeah, this is what happens, right? But on the other hand, when we say this is a very difficult game and it's the most complex game I've ever played, that'll also turn a lot of people away right from the start without even trying. So it's a balance. I don't know what the best way it is. Like, at least with this second method, when we say that it's a difficult game, we will at least attract the right people. If that perks people's ears up and then they come to the game because it's a very complex game, then they're probably gonna Go, right? They're not gonna be disappointed. I don't know. I really don't know. For me, when I started playing, I don't think my friend qualified the difficulty of the game at all. I just went in and immediately realized the difficulty of the game, and I wasn't really interested. It was hard. I didn't understand what was going on, and it took me a while to become interested in in the game. I think it just kind of stayed in my subconscious for periods of time. And so don't give up on your dad. Like he may just kind of get frustrated, and then it may come to his mind in the future again, and he might surprise you. So don't give up hope on that. Continuing on, I think your allegory with the rules of physics was very accurate. Yes, gravity might be easy to understand. Things fall down towards Earth, but that doesn't really grasp all the implications of gravity or gravitation. Yes, the rules of Go might be simple to explain, but that doesn't make an easy and simple game to play. To quote Frank Lance from the AlphaGo documentary, after knowing the rules and sitting in front of an empty board, I technically know what I am allowed to do, but I have now no clue what I should do. Have a nice week. Best regards. Renee. That is a male name. Smiley face. Renee with two E's is the female version. Okay, thanks for writing in, Renee. I do have to say I am really glad you wrote in again, because believe it or not, after I read your listener mail last time, and I did refer to you as a she, I was reading another book that later that night or something like that, and there was a Renee in the book, and that Renee had a single E, or the author of the article or something that I was reading was Renee, and with a single E, and it made me think of you, and then it made me think again, like, oh shoot, this is the male name version of Renee without the two E's, isn't it? And I googled it, and I was like, oh no, and I was slapping myself in my forehead, and I was like, oh well. But so I'm glad you wrote in again, so I could at least apologize to. Sorry about that. I was just used to the female version of the name, but yes. Renee with one E is a male name. Okay, wait, back to what you were talking about, the physics thing, and I really think Go has this thing. It does remind me of like mathematics and physics, because it's just this like emergent thing, and it's that Frank Lance had some of the best quotes in that documentary, I think, and just technically knowing what you're allowed to do but have no clue what you should do, it really is like an art kind of statement. Like when you're told to dance, anything is a dance. You move your body and that's a dance, but like what should you do in order to dance or, draw? So I think, I don't know, it's really hard to explain that to people. It's really hard to communicate that character to the game to the people, and have people understand this isn't just about what's right and wrong necessarily. This is about playing like in a beautiful way. If you kind of can see it that way while incorporating that logical side of you, then you've discovered the beauty of Go. But it's so hard to really find a short, concise way to sell this game to people. Thanks for writing in, Renee. Next up, we got Saloran Swivelton writing, I am still hoping for a Queens Gambit equivalent regarding the subject of Go, and I still think perhaps a movie or show about Michael Redmond, a Western player who later became a 9-dan professional in Japan, would be ideal if movies and shows are considered. Wow, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little Queens Gambit parody I did earlier. Michael Redmond is a fascinating person because he's kind of a diamond in the rough among the Western players. He has achieved so much in the world of Go from what his background is, and yes, I mean, I don't really know much about his story, so I would be curious to know, where he came from, what his background was, what his real story is. I'd be very interested to find out. The following statement may be controversial, but I think the general Western audience would be more interested in content with Western casts or main characters than with only Eastern ones. I mean, though I have not read or seen Three Body Problem, apparently the Netflix series is a hit in the West after they American-washed or whitewashed the cast of, from what I gathered, the predominantly Chinese characters in the book the show is based on. So, ... I actually agree with you. I don't think that's super controversial. I think the controversial aspect could be there are certain projects out there that have gone from east to west that have utterly failed. Old Boy comes to mind. I have not even seen the Western version of Old Boy. I'll just take their word for it. the word of the audience, people who have trashed that movie. Three Body Problem again. Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to watch that. I do have a Chinese friend who says that the original version is better, but it does like bring it up to my consciousness to see the Western version made. But if it's an original work, I see no problem. I see no problem with that, the casting of Western characters. It's not like the anime adaptation problem where they take like Goku and make him white, right? I think if you can make a convincing story with a Western cast, it's hard to say that it would be an all Western cast. I really don't think that would work. I think you do have to have Asian characters in the cast because, well, first of all, I mean, what studio is not going to jump at the chance to put some like minority figures in there? But it's integral to the game, right? There is an interface between West and East with Go, and I think that is an interesting subject. So, yeah, if you're gonna shoot a Go movie with just an Asian cast, I mean, you're not really. I don't think you're marketing towards the West, and I do agree with you. Anyway, Mr. Redmond's story so far, which, in my opinion, bridges the West and East on Go, can be found somewhat easily online, including on YouTube, and is one that I find interesting as well as one that hopefully let more people in the West learn about Go. I'm gonna have to check that out. I've never really looked deeply into Michael Redmond's story, so I really am gonna, be curious about that, so I'll check that out on YouTube. Thanks for writing in, Lauren Swivelton, with your very interesting comment. Mr. Tusef says, I don't get the pun from last episode. I wanted to explain the pun to you, but should I? Okay, no one explained it to poor Mr. Tusef. So the pun was about Toulouse, France. They were having and I said that people signed up to go to Toulouse, but they don't want to lose. And that was the pun, because they want to win. You get it? I can't run away and say thanks for listening. Keep playing Go right now. So there's a little bit of an awkward pause here, but I hope that explained it sufficiently, Mr. Tusif. Thanks for writing in. Owenius writes, regarding the popularity of Go, it is very popular. Go is deeply ingrained in the culture it originated from. It is literally called Wooden Fox for how charming it is. It is just not popular in English-speaking world where the culture is so different. I think the popularity episode, I was mostly focusing on the English-speaking world. I've never heard of that Wooden Fox nickname for the game. It's just interesting. I'd like to know more about that. Thanks for writing in. I'm the Slyest Fox writes, Go is wildly popular in Asia. It isn't popular in the US because it is difficult, takes more than 5 minutes to play, and doesn't spectate well. The average American has a really short attention span and craves constant, bite-sized, low-effort entertainment. Thanks for writing in. I'm the Slyest Fox. I think some of you guys may overestimate how popular Go is in Asia. Although it is something everyone knows about, it is really not something that everyone plays. It's something you may find your grandpa isn't, like someone's grandpa is into it, or at least from my experience talking to Koreans, everyone knows what Go is, but I don't think it's very common to play Go. I would not go as far to say it's wildly popular. In fact, I was catching a stream the other day. It was a Korean stream, and the Korean players were commenting, and they were saying, "Oh, who plays Go? No one plays Go." And that was just their passing comment about Go. And they're Korean players. They're streaming from Korea because the hours they were saying it was late and everything. I think just by nature, it's just not Counter-Strike. It's just not, Counter-Strike's not that popular. What am I saying? Like League of Legends. It's not League of Legends. It's not Overwatch. It's not Valorant, right? It's not these games that are super popular. And although, maybe there is some truth to your comment about the average American, I think the United States is very diverse, and there are many people who would appreciate a game like Go. I have a short attention span, and I crave constant bite-sized, low-effort entertainment, but I'm a Go player. Would you figure like that would happen? So, I mean, there's a very varied, multicolored, tapestry of people out there. One thing that Asia does have, though, or maybe it's the fact that I was brought up in an Asian household, is the concept of raising your children in a very disciplined way and giving them these extracurricular activities and really, making them spend a lot of time doing that. That's not a very American thing to do. But in Asia, you start as a young child, you're thrown into a huge variety of extracurricular activities, whether it's piano, violin, math, tutoring, swimming, all that stuff. This is how I was raised. And so having this drilled again and again and again as a child makes you realize like, oh, okay, to progress in things, you do have to spend a lot of time and have discipline in it. So maybe there is something like that caters to the Go community, or caters to being more open to working on things like Go. I don't know. It's a very complex topic. It's very thought-provoking, so thanks for your comment. I'm the Slyest Fox. And then finally, I wanted to read one comment from an older, not super old, it's just a couple episodes back. I usually don't go too far back when I do listener mail, but since Mark Hessen wrote in about episode 45, 7 Reasons to Get a Go Teacher, I thought I'd respond. Hi, Justin. Thanks again for another great podcast. I'm curious, where are you playing where the default correspondence game is 3 days per move? In OGS, it is 1 day per move, but in Japanese time with 5 Byoyomi periods, so you can only miss 5 times before losing. Personally, I prefer DGS, Dragon Go server, where the default is 1 day per move Fisher time, which is nice because sometimes I get busy and miss a few days, and other times I play several moves a day and Fisher time accommodates that. Thanks for writing in, Mark Hassan. Thanks for your question. I'm playing on OGS. I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's because I don't do the auto match correspondence very much. Maybe that is 1 day move, but it's I do the ladder games and the tournaments, like the correspondence tournaments, and most of my games are 3 days a move. I don't know. Maybe I should pay more attention to that. DGS. I wanted to talk about DGS because I used to play on DGS, but not with any strangers. I would play with my buddy because there was an Android app for DGS, and he didn't know about OGS, and it was nice. I liked playing on DGS, but I don't know too much about the default settings and everything, and how I'm surprised that it's active enough that you can use it though. But it is a strange concept to me to use Fisher time on a correspondence game. Although, I don't see why not. I guess for me, honestly, all I need is like a 1 day per move, absolute time, or not absolute time. What is that? Simple time. So every move you just have 1 day to make it. I think that's all I need really for correspondence games. Well, that ends listener mail, and the question of the week is, question of the month, I guess, with this season finale episode. What do you think about the OGS time control settings? Do you have any thoughts about what direction that should go in? Let me know your take, and if you want to share your thoughts on this question, or you have a ghost story to share, or have a question of your own, you can comment on YouTube or the Reddit post for this episode, or you can email me directly at starpointpaduk@gmail.com. That's starpointbaduk@gmail.com. If you're a YouTube listener, I would love a like and a subscribe. And if you're a podcast listener, a review and or rating would also help. A special thank you to Jeffrey H. for supporting Starpoint. Next episode will be in 4 weeks' time. Well, I guess depending on how you count it, there'll be 4 weeks of no episodes, and then on August 19th, I'll come back with season 2 of Starpoint. Have a nice summer, or winter if you're on the other half of the globe. And as for all the listener mail, I'll be sure to cover it as soon as we're back. If you guys leave anything that I haven't covered from this season. And it feels weird signing off now. I feel like I don't want to leave you guys. I want to just keep talking, but I'll leave you with this. I had a buddy who would say things like, he would often make comments like, man, I really hope I don't lose this game, or he would say things like, it would be a shame if I lost on time, right? Very negative, pessimistic statements. And naturally, you don't want to jinx yourself, right? You don't want to jinx yourself when you say things like that. So what he did was he would make sure he would play a stone and say, rock on wood. Thanks for listening, everyone. And even though I won't be here for a bit, keep playing Go.